The American consumer is now slowly running out of spending power, and retailers like Walmart can't hide the fact that they're starting to lose a lot of money. And they are not alone in this, as other titans of the industry are posting losses across the board. The lack of demand coupled with high inventory is starting to spell disaster for investors as shares continue to plummet. Are you one of the people who's worried about less earnings through the stock market? The harsh reality is that less Americans are saving money from their wages compared to before. This in turn leaves most of us vulnerable while we continue to hear that our economy is strong and that a recession is far from happening. It's Economic Prepper here, and welcome back to the channel for your daily dose of the truth when it comes to the US economy, the stock market, global happenings, and much more. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and also make sure your notification bell is turned on. Appreciate you guys dropping a like for the videos, but let's go ahead and get into this. So let's talk about this. The economy, it works very much like a cycle where if one process is bottlenecked, then the entire system could collapse. You spending your money today could become someone else's income in the future. But as we all feel the stress and pressure of the cost of living, some Americans are holding on tighter to their dollars, which may in turn have a huge domino effect. The Federal Reserve knew what they were doing when the announcement of softer labor markets was made, and it's an outcome that they look forward to. Many different industries are now in the practice of mass layoffs as different sectors continue to see weaker demand. There's no easier way to see this than the retail market. As we now enter the Christmas season, expectations are now lowered as demand falls while inventory runs high. Multiple big-time retailers will share the same problems as they see inflation as the biggest threat to their profits. Walmart, one of the giants in the retail industry, suffered one of its biggest crashes back on October 16, 1987, when their stock market shares fell by 11.7% in a single day. Fast forward to 2022, and right after reporting their fiscal first quarter 2023 earnings, shares of Walmart crashed by 11.4%, definitely a step in the wrong direction. It also managed to cut the Walton family's fortune by $11.4 billion in one day, the second time their fortune has fallen by billions in 2022. The retailer is also quietly showing that demand is expected to be lower this year, even with the holidays right around the corner. Last year, Walmart added 150,000 personnel, which were mostly full-time workers. Today, in 2022, Walmart announced in September that they only plan to hire 40,000 workers for the holidays. This has prompted many investors to reevaluate their shares in the stock market, as holding Walmart shares seems to be more risky, at least at the moment. Even with the onset of Christmas, a massive sell-off may eventually happen, and it could also happen for others in the industry. Amazon, one of Walmart's biggest competitors, also foreshadowed losses as they predicted that they're going to destroy their profits. Their shares dropped by 19% right after they announced this. Most retailers are also sensing that demand will be weak given the state of our economy, that the lack of strong demand will in turn push them to be more aggressive in discounting their merchandise, especially items that are older and that are still in their inventory. That would pinch their already small margins of profit even further. Target is also lowering their expectations for the fourth quarter due to economic challenges, while warnings that the holiday season is expected to be weak. This in turn made their shares go down. One of Target's heads, Hilding Anderson, recently commented that, quote, "This quarter confirms that the middle-class consumer has been hit hard by inflation and is changing the way that they spend by trading down, buying more value-priced goods, and shifting to white label products. It suggests continued headwinds for the non-value players in the big box retail during the balance of this holiday season." End quote. A trend that may soon become much more common with these companies and the industry as a whole are layoffs. Americans are now worried as they feel as if their jobs and their wages are on the chopping board. Consumers are getting crushed while the fear of losing their fixed income lingers, and as prices continue to go up, this in turn is showing data that consumers are spending more, while in reality, they're getting much less when they pay with more money. There's also the huge probability of people trying to get ahead of inflation by buying what they can now, as they know that their money won't be buying the same quantity of goods down the line as the US dollar continues to weaken. A sobering piece of data shows us just how bad it has gotten for the everyday consumer is the amount that they continue to set aside as savings. It has trended downward from the start of the health crisis and is now at a low of 3.1%. Given that number, Americans are only saving 3.1% of their monthly wages. And if this is mixed with more credit card debt, stagnant wages, and inflation, then we are in for a concoction of economic turmoil. The Federal Reserve is also slowly changing the narrative of interest rates as multiple officials have now signaled that rates should be higher than 5% next year. This is part of the strategy to keep the market at bay and move the cash further down the road. If they were completely transparent about everything, all of the markets would have crashed already. One key indicator of a recession is the yield curve. Economists use this to predict an economic downturn, and it has been inverted for quite a while now. The expectation that things will get better and that it may correct itself has no foundation, and as far as we can see, it has only gotten worse. Now, we do have some good news, as President Biden said that the missile that killed 2 people in Poland was unlikely to have been fired by Russia.
White House correspondent Mike Memoli. Mike, good morning to you. So we heard the president say he believes it's unlikely the missile was from Russia. So what more are we hearing from him and behind the scenes from the White House?
Well, Stephen, at this moment, President Biden is making his way back to the United States after this marathon worldwide tour. He was, of course, in Indonesia in the overnight hours when this incident first developed. And it's really striking the fact that the president was surrounded by some of our closest allies at this incredibly fragile, sensitive moment, perhaps the most really perilous moment during this 9-month invasion of Ukraine. So what the president was able to do was immediately convene in person with some of those G7 allies. He also had one-on-one meetings with the British Prime Minister, the new Italian Prime Minister as well. And it really was striking. The first indication that we had that this may have been unintentional, perhaps an errant strike, was from the president himself when he made those comments in the overnight hours. And really, this was a summit, the G20 summit in Bali, in which the White House wanted to stress that the United States was once again at the table, leading our coalition, leading our allies at a time when one of those 20 nations, Russia's Vladimir Putin, was not in attendance. So much of the agenda was about how to respond to the continued fallout of Russia's invasion, and the White House is really touting the fact that the president was able to use this moment to really once again showcase the resolve of our allies behind Ukraine at this moment.
Even though an attack on a NATO nation wouldn't exactly mean a third world war, the idea of a missile being erroneously sent to Poland just to trigger one would be catastrophic, not just for all of the people involved, but for the entirety of the stock market as well. The continued war will also affect our stock market investments, with the price of oil as a prime example. Investigations will be made regarding the incident, but it is worrying to think that there is at least one force who is trying to instigate another world war. We have to realize that the economy is not going to recover overnight and that we are now in this predicament for the long haul. Now, before I go, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button for the video. Also, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to stay updated with everything that matters to you regarding our economy and your money, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because if you want the truth, you guys know where to find it. I appreciate you guys watching the show. You guys are awesome. I wish you guys brighter days to come, and I'll see you on the next one.